COVID-19 strong case for schools to return, says Peter Weir. There is a strong case for all pupils in Northern Ireland to return to classrooms by the 8th of March, Education Minister Peter Weir has said. He said he believes the health officials at ES had been overcautious in recommending a phased return. On Monday, his party leader, First Minister AF, had called for the executive to revisit its plan. Mr. W said he wanted to see movement across the board in getting pupils back into classrooms more quickly. Speaking on BBC Video UT program, the minister said he had advocated a full return in his paper to executive colleagues last week, but that health advisors prefer a staged approach, with year groups going back at different times. The executive is due to meet on Thursday to discuss its pathway to recovery blueprint. Anything that I put forward has been examined and predicts what's happening in England, said Mr. W. Homeschooling is second best. Obviously, we want to look at what's happening in other jurisdictions, but I've indicated that my preferred option was to see everyone return to school on the 8th of March. Indications certainly at that stage were given by some of the health advisors that they felt taking that full steps was premature, which is why the executive at least moved forward on the initial steps. However, while parents are providing that homeschooling, however, while that work is being done also by schools, in terms of remote learning, it can't be a subsidiary for face-to-face teaching. It is effectively a second best. With some of the emerging evidence we've seen this week in Scotland, I think there is a strong case that will lead to prioritize the education of our young people and get them back as soon as possible. Mr. W said Craig movement was particularly leader on issues around primary schools. We've got the immediate return of P1 to P3. I don't see why there can't be immediate movement for the rest of primary schools, he said. The damage that is being done, both from an educational point of view, but from a wider societal point of view in terms of issues around mental health and the long-term future of our young people are also critical. There is nowhere that's entirely waste-free, but I think schools represent a relatively safe place. Mrs. Foster has said she wants the security to revisit its discussion about the reopening date for schools in Northern Ireland. She was speaking after Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced his lockdown exit plan, with the 8th March set for the return of all school children in England. Unfortunately, our health advisor didn't think that was the right way forward, she said. I understand that we have to take a safe and sustainable way forward, but I hope that We can now revisit that again because I know full well from my own experience the kitchen table is no substitute for a classroom. However, as F Education spokesperson said, nothing has changed since last Thursday. The chief medical officer told us last week that the reopening of schools completely would lead to a rise in the R number by between 0.3 and 0.7. PS told the BBC's Good Morning Ulster program if the R rate as the minute is sitting around 0.75, even if we only hit that lowest number, it brings us back above 1 and we're back in the exact same situation again. It's disappointing that A wants to go and make policy on the whole in interviews on the TV last night. The only thing that has changed is that Boris Johnson has decided to make a decision for England. You would think by now that the DUP would have learned not to hitch their wagon to Boris, he added.